Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Today's Thursday, August 7th, and Bayern Munich just thumped Tottenham Hotspur in the Telecon Cup. Yep, we got that trophy again. Another one for the case. Hang it up. No, I just joke around, but that is technically what this preseason friendly is marketed as and is labeled as, I guess. So, had to come on here and say a few things because there was a lot of things about this match that really wowed me about Bayern Munich. And yeah, it's preseason. Don't overreact one way or the other. But I do feel like there was a fair bit to talk about. But yeah, I'm coming in here straight off of work, had a long day working an event, and as a photographer, that's just part of the gig. That's how it goes sometimes. But I did feel like I needed to come in here and talk about this match because I was actually able to kind of catch most of it throughout the day in between other things. So yeah, here we go. 4-0. Bayern Munich beat Tottenham Hotspur in this preseason friendly in a match where I think Bayern clearly took it seriously, but I think Vincent Kompany put out a lineup that you might see more of. You might see Kompany kind of roll into the season with a lineup like this, which, I think this match just gave you some clues into Kompany's brain and how Bayern Munich are going to run things. So let's start off here by reading off the lineup. But before that, I do have to mention this is a video episode, so subscribe on the YouTube channel, please, because we're putting out a lot of stuff right now. Cool collaborations, our preseason prediction video, which was a blast to record, Jim and I. We're going to be putting that up soon, and that one is just going to be a whole boatload of fun. Previews for awards, player statistics, obviously where each team finishes. Are there going to be trophies galore? What's going to happen? We had a lot of fun recording it, so that one's coming soon. Stay tuned and subscribe here on YouTube. Always Bayern Chelsea, but back into this match. The lineup the Kompany put together. Manuel Neuer in between the sticks. Neuer had a very good match, I thought. I'll probably reiterate this a bunch of times throughout this episode, but Bayern crushed Spurs. So there wasn't a huge threat to anybody on the defensive side, but I thought Neuer, he had a clean sheet, and he really did what you would want him to do as the number one keeper. He's getting up there in age, but he really still shows me that he is, a world-class keeper through and through. Back line, you had Konrad Laimer at the right back position, Dayot Upamecano and Jonathan Tah as the center backs, and Josip Stanisic as the left back. A couple things of note here. I thought the outside backs, Laimer and Stanisic, played exceptionally well. The center backs did all right. They did what they had to do. They weren't blowing me away by any means, but again, Tottenham really put up no fight, and Bayern's press was just too much for them to handle. There was nothing that they could do, really, against Bayern Munich's incredible press and really Vincent Kompany's high line. So, I think this match really just solidified what I was already thinking, and that is Bayern's going to roll into this season with the starting center back pair, I should say, of Dayot Upamecano and Jonathan Tah. Bayern has been after Tah for a while. They went out and got him. And obviously Upamecano last year really solidified himself as a world-class defender. And I think that's that's the pairing the Kompany's going to roll with, and I don't expect him to rotate very much. So we could still see Kim Min-jae leave the club before this transfer window is over. I'd like to keep him. I'd like to have a center back rotation going there, but I don't think Kim himself likes to come in off the bench, and I also don't really see Kompany rotating that much. So there's that, but let's talk about the outside backs now. Konrad Laimer and Josip Stanisic, both were phenomenal, I thought. And these two guys have to be your starting outside backs in the season. Bundesliga, Champions League, whatever. They have to be your outside backs. Obviously, Davies is hurt, Ito's hurt, so I'm not counting them. Put them out of the picture for now. Stanisic has to be left back. Laimer has to be right back. And potentially when Davies comes back, Stanisic can slide in at right back, and there can be a rotation. But it's clear to me that Vincent Kompany loves the energy and the aggression that Konrad Laimer brings, and it's hard to not love those things. Laimer was up in the attack. You see the goal that I believe Kingsley Coman scored. Laimer was a huge part of that goal, and he just is such a nuisance to teams. He was way too much for Spurs to handle today, and I thought Stanisic, who I still see as a right back, had a damn good outing at left back. Stanisic was up in the attack as well, but was also a solid defensive force, which you just don't see out of Rafa Guerreiro anymore at left back. I think Guerreiro, maybe he can play at the 10, maybe he can play in the midfield, but he's not a good defender in this day and age, I guess. He's just lost too many steps to be a good defender, and I don't like that Bayern is still kind of futzing around with the idea of him at left back. I don't like it. You got to put Stanisic there for the time being. And like I said, you can use Guerreiro in other ways. I think, he's not a washed player. He's not a done player, but you can't play him at left back. The central midfield was Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka. I thought Kimmich had a very good match, like he always does. Controlled the tempo of the match, dictated the play. Goretzka, not so much. Goretzka really missed a couple of golden opportunities that he could have scored and maybe should have scored. They weren't sitters by any means, but, Goretzka is going to be fighting with Bischoff and Pavlovic once Pavlovic gets healthy again to make that starting lineup. And if you want to do that, you're going to just have to be better. But he wasn't bad, again, by any means. He wasn't bad, and he was part of this Bayern Munich team that just dominated Spurs. The attacking setup now was a little bit interesting. Obviously, you have Harry Kane at the 9. Great dynamite game from Harry Kane. Scored a goal and then slipped on a penalty and actually skied that one. Yeah, I thought the world was ending. I did a double take when I saw that penalty miss because I don't think Kane has missed a penalty for Bayern. I want to say he was like 30 for 30 or something like that up until this point. So, hey, I'll take it in a friendly that you win 4-0. That's fine by me. But it was just one of those where Kane just literally slipped and fell and skied the shot. So, maybe nothing you could do there. That type of thing just happens every once in a while. But the rest of the attack was where things got interesting, and I think it showed, again, what Kompany might start the season with, and I don't know if I necessarily like it. You had Kingsley Coman at the right wing. Now, Coman usually plays left wing. Coman put in a great performance, and I'm somebody who's been critical of Coman's performances as of late, but I gotta say, this was one of the good ones, and Coman is by no means a bad player, and I don't want anybody to think I'm insinuating that when I criticize him, but, it's one of those things where he'll give you a match like this, a great match like this, every once in a while, and then there'll be a streak of 3, 4, 5 matches where he won't, then he'll get injured and be out for a month, and, again, he's not a bad player by any means. He is a very, very formidable player. He can play, in the same I would say about Serge Gnabry as well, he can play the position, but is he going to thrust Bayern into that upper echelon of teams in Europe? No, I don't think he is. But today, he was great, and I want to give Coman props for that. Scored a goal. I was going to say assisted, but I actually don't think he assisted. But nonetheless, great game from Kingsley Coman. Luis Diaz, newcomer, was on the left wing. Diaz, I'm feeling a little bit mixed about. I love the energy he brings. I love the pace this guy has, just what he does off ball, on the ball. But he didn't finish, and that was a consistent problem Bayern Munich had with Leroy Sané, so maybe I'm a little bit scarred from that. But these last couple of performances, really the only 2 performances that Diaz has had in these preseason since he's been here, have been a little bit reminiscent of Sané, and a lot of fans crucified Sané. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing that to Diaz. I still think I believe in the guy. I want to see what he can offer. Heck, he's been here for, a week, 2 weeks, and he doesn't know the language. He doesn't know German. He obviously speaks a little bit of English, but he's getting integrated into the team is my point. And I'm not holding anything against him. I love his style of play. I love what he's brought to the team so far. But if he's doing this in the middle of the season where he's not finishing, I think fans will turn on him. I haven't seen any negativity really from fans surrounding these performances from Diaz like you would if it was Leroy Sané out there. You wouldn't hear the end of it on Twitter, that's for sure. So, like I said, Diaz is bringing some good things off the ball. He's doing great things in one-on-one situations, and maybe most importantly, he's posing a threat on that left-hand side, which Bayern has kind of been lacking. And when you draw defenders in because of the dangerous actions you're doing, it leaves space for other guys, maybe notably in this case, Michael Olise at the 10. Not a bad match from Olise by any means. I think he works better as a right winger. I just do. I don't think he works the best, essentially. I think, he's certainly not bad. Olise is such a dynamic, a great, dominant player that anytime he has the ball, no matter where he is on the pitch, he commands so much attention. So Michael Olise, not his best match at the 10, not his best position if you ask me, but definitely serviceable, and it'll be interesting to see if Company trusts somebody like Paul Vanner or trusts somebody like Tom Bischoff even to get some of those minutes at the 10, or if he sticks with guys like Michael Olise, like Serge Gnabry, as the season goes on without Jamal Musiala. So the match started off, and it was pretty clear from the get-go that Bayern was going to dominate, and Tottenham had no answer for Bayern's press. And I'll probably say this 1,001 times throughout this episode, but Bayern was dominant through and through. Bayern's starters were dominant. Now, they couldn't finish like you like them to. Same old story, perhaps. Maybe they're just shaking off some rust in the preseason. I'll let you as the viewer decide that for yourself. But, it's this Bayern team that's putting up 20 shots and scoring 1 goal off of it. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, I think. By the end of the match, they did have 4 goals. They had maybe 27 shots or something like that. But really, really dominant performance from Bayern. I mean, their press, I'll say it again, Company's press. What is Company cooking? Because he was, he as in Company, but the entire Bayern team was slicing and dicing throughout this match and really cutting Tottenham like a hot knife through butter. It was something beautiful to see. There's a couple of amazing plays. I tweeted one of them, so if you want to check it out on the Always Bayern Chelsea Twitter, not just to plug us, but really just to have you witness how the game should be played, how I think the game should be played. I mean, this sequence, this was in the second half, maybe, beginning of the second half, but it started with Upa, and then I think it went to Limer, and then it went to Kingsley Coman, and then Olise and Kane, and the ball eventually goes to Diaz, and Kane gets checked, but he still finds Diaz, and the ball ends up on Limer's boot, and he actually misses the shot. Maybe a little bit indicative of how that whole first half was, slicing and dicing, but then not finishing as they should have. But man, just go on Twitter, watch that play on the Always Bayern Chelsea channel, because that play is the kind of attack that gives you goosebumps. It's the kind of attack that if Bayern can do that thing consistently, they're going to be a top team in Europe, if not the top team in Europe. So it gets you excited for the season, seeing stuff like that for sure. But yeah, as the match went on, we saw the first goal happen in the 12th minute. Harry Kane scores, assisted by Michael Olise. Olise pretty much just surveys the whole entire pitch and lays a beauty to Kane across the entire pitch and a little bit vertically, I guess. So a horizontal pass across the entire pitch as well as vertical distance on it to land right on Kane's boot. And Kane, to his credit, amazing first touch. His first touch on this long ball across the entire pitch basically burns the defender and sets him up to just take a shot. And Kane did what Kane does. Again, the best striker in the world. Harry Kane's not going to miss those kind of shots, and he buried it. And then not much longer after that, we're looking at maybe the 15th minute. I'll check the notes here. Yep, 15th minute is when Josip Stanisic gets taken down in the box by none other than Bayern Munich loanee João Palhinha. And I don't want to write off Palhinha, but he did not have a good match today. And he did not have many good matches for Bayern Munich last year as well. I don't want to say he's washed. I don't want to say the game has passed him by, but man, oh man, Palhinha is that kind of guy where he's so physical. where if you're one step behind, if you lose a half step, maybe not even a full step, it's going to just result in a foul, and in this case, a penalty. And again, he just mistimed it, and he took Stanisic down in the box. And this is where Kane steps up to the spot, as Kane always does. Like I said, I think 30 for 30, and Bayern Munich just watered this spot on the pitch a little bit too long, and Kane banana peel Mario Kart slips as he's taking the shot and just skies it. So rare for Kane, but again, this is the time for that to happen. As long as it doesn't happen in the season, in a close match, we'll be all good. And they actually, they as an FC Bayern TV, which, yes, it worked this time for me. Last friendly, it didn't work for me. This one had no problems. So Bayern, I'll still take a refund in the form of a jersey, but your service worked today, so thank you. And they had great footage of the pitch being watered right before the match. And like I said, that one spot just got a little bit too much water, I think. But yeah, the rest of the match goes on. And first half, again, I mentioned it, but it's just utter domination by Bayern. I think they probably had maybe 19 shots in that first half or something. I could look, but I'm just going to give you the stats as I felt they were happening. A couple of big misses. Olise missed a sitter. Goretzka missed a couple. Leimer maybe missed one or two in there. And Diaz as well. But yeah, Bayern just looked good, just weren't converting their chances. And then the second half gets going, and we're looking at the 67th minute here, where Kompany says, you know what? I'm going to let these youngsters have a shot. And let me back up for a second, because before that happened, we did see the second goal of the match, which I mentioned it before, but Kingsley Coman scored this one courtesy of Konrad Leimer bombing down the side and finding Coman. Coman dribbles in a little bit, actually thought he was going to pass back to Leimer, because Leimer kind of had an overlapping run outside of Coman, and you really should watch the video for this one, because I'm giving you a nice detailed look here. But Leimer passes the ball, Coman gets it, kind of runs in a little bit, and Leimer makes like an outside run here, honestly wide open, but Coman dribbles so nicely, fakes out the defense like he's going to pass, takes the ball in, cuts in for himself, and just has a looping, bending shot right into the goal. Beautifully done. Kingsley Coman, this is the best of Kingsley Coman. As I said, this is what you want to see out of the guy. But then the big changes happen in the 67th minute, where Kompany says, all right, whole squad, get out. Youngsters, you're in. And I think Kompany is hearing the criticism that he's not integrating the youth enough, but man, oh man, after today, it's going to be hard not to play some of these guys, because the youth came in and they continued to dominate. I mean, it was just like you're playing not even a second-tier Bundesliga team. It's like you're playing a third or fourth-tier team, as Bayern does in the beginning of the Pokal. That's how I would describe the rest of this match, and even, I mean, the whole match. The match up until this point, when all the subs come in, and afterwards. But let me just run through the subs here. Neuer stayed in, and actually Diaz stayed in as well, but every other player got changed. Kim Min-jae comes in for Upamecano. Kiala comes in for Jonathan Tah. Kiala, a nice-looking young center back at this point. He needs to maybe gain a little bit of strength, gain a little bit of experience, but he's looking like he could be one of these young academy guys that turns out. And it's way too early to tell with all these guys, because there's a lot of levels to it, right? You can be good at the academy level, and then you can be good at the professional level, and then you have to be Bayern Munich level. And it is almost the summit, really, to become Bayern Munich level, Bayern Munich quality. And I'm not saying all these kids are going to turn out, but what you see today is promising for a lot of them. Bischoff comes in for Kimmich, Daiber comes in for Goretzka, Kusiasari comes in for Kane, Karl comes in for Coman, Vanner comes in for Olise, Bouet comes in for Leimer, and Guerrero comes in for Stanisic. And the kids just do what the kids do, I guess, in this instance, and just lit the world on fire. I don't know how else to say it. Great performances from almost all of them. Maybe not the strongest from Paul Vonner. And I'm judging Vonner a little bit more critically because, again, not bad. Wasn't bad at all, but he needs to, I think, do a lot more to just make that jump into the first team. Because Vonner's a guy who Bayern's considering loaning, and I think it's going to take a great performance for him to make the first team, like I said, or just make the team and stay at Bayern as opposed to getting loaned out somewhere else to continue his development. So Vonner is one who's a little bit under a microscope right now, where these guys like Carl, Kusiasari, they have more time. Kiala, they have more time to develop, whereas Paul Vonner, it's kind of like, it's getting that time, shit or get off the pot, as they say. And we're going to see, I think, a little bit more of him in this preseason to maybe make a full judgment. And same with Tom Bischoff, who I thought had a very nice match today. Bischoff, and I should say Vonner as well did get an assist. So, again, it wasn't like he was bad. Bischoff looked good as well. Maybe a little bit better than Goretzka even. I'm sure everybody preying on Goretzka's downfall will love to hear me say that. But, it wasn't like, wow, he's so good where he has to play every match. But it was, hey, he looks good. Also notable is that Mathys Tel did sub on for Spurs in the 70th minute. Really, really breaks my heart what happened to Tel with Bayern, and you see him after the match talking about this stadium is still my home. He's dapping up all the Bayern players, trading jerseys with Neuer and all his French national team teammates, Upa, Olise, and Coman as well, also showing love to Kane with the Spurs connection there. But Tel did not have a great match. To be fair, who on Spurs did, really. But, breaks my heart again. I had so much faith in Tel, and now he's gone, and he may never reach the ceiling that I thought he was going to reach. 74th minute, we saw the third goal of the match by Lynette Carl. Dybur got the assist there, but it was kind of a little bit of a chaotic moment in the box, but the ball shoots back out to Carl, and he loops it gorgeously into the goal. I mean, it was one of those where it looks like he's seeing the game in slow motion, and the keeper full extension dives as the ball, which didn't have a lot of pace on it, but had a perfect bend to it. The keeper's diving for it, and he's not even close. And it's like the keeper's diving for a million years, and the ball is taking a million years to get to the net, but it's just positioned and bent so perfectly that nobody has a damn chance at it. And it's a great, great goal from Carl. I mean, the flashes that I've seen from this kid, special stuff, and I hope that he is able to develop at Bayern and become a first-team staple, really. Bayern needs to start developing guys in-house as this transfer market is becoming berserk. I mean, you see Šeško going to United for 90 mil. Stuttgart is asking over double Nick Valdemada's value. All these strikers are Hugo Ekitike is another Bundesliga striker going to Liverpool for around 90 mil. These prices are astronomical, and Bayern in the Bundesliga can't really compete with some of these teams. And obviously the platform of the Premier League, the platform of a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, it's just a little bit different at Bayern, so they're going to have to start developing these guys in-house, and I really hope Carl can be that, because these flashes, what we've seen, again, he's a young player, he's maybe a little reckless at times, a little loose with it, but he's also a very small dude. Maybe that could help him, lower center of gravity, use it to your advantage, I guess, but he needs to develop still, but the flashes you see from him are just like this goal. They're really just something else, and they make me excited for him, and they make me hopeful that he will see the pitch a little bit more this year. I'm not somebody who's out there with my pitchfork banging down company's door saying, get out of Dodge, you don't play the young players enough, and that's a fireable offense. He's in a tough place. I always say this. He has to win matches, but also he does need to integrate the youth a little bit more. And I hope there's times this year where, hey, Bayern's up 4-0 against some random team, and Olise has played 3 matches in a week's time, so why don't you rest him for the second half and play Carl? You know what I mean? Situations like that. So that's what I'm hoping for this year. But speaking of youngsters, we got the 4th goal of the match in the 80th minute from Kusiasari. This was the goal of the match to me. And it was just a worldly. I don't know how else to say it. This was the one where Vonner got the assist, a little bit similar to the Carl goal, where there's kind of some chaos in the box. Ball shoots back to Kusiasari, but Kusiasari is farther out than Carl was, and had a similar bending shot where it was just out of reach of the keeper. And there was a camera view from the back of the net, which was so sweet and silky smooth to see. Man, that was a beautiful, beautiful goal, really to cap off a beautiful match for Bayern. And like I said, you're in that first half and you're like, it's only 1-0 and we're dominating this hard. 4-0 was a better representation via the scoreline, I guess, of how the match played out. So, I think I kind of hit on most of the points I wanted to hit on here. Again, coming back from work, a little bit of a late night record, so hopefully I didn't miss anything. That's the main stuff that I can remember. But, if you don't have Bayern TV Plus or whatever it's called, and you want to get your match recap here, I hope I did a good enough job. And again, thank you for listening. Condolences to Jim, as Levi Colwill, Chelsea center back, did tear his ACL, it seems, and will be out for a big portion of the season. It's a bummer. Obviously, us Bayern fans, our hearts go out to anybody dealing with injuries, of course. You never want to see that, and obviously an important player for Chelsea. So that's a bummer. We'll see, I think, more and more injuries this year as the miles rack up on these players. And, with the Club World Cup, with all these matches that these top teams and top players have to play, I think we're just going to see more injuries, and it sucks, and you don't want it to be that way, but it seems like that's how it's going to be. So just wanted to mention that as well. But thank you for checking out this episode. Thank you for checking out the Always Bayern Chelsea channel. Please subscribe on YouTube and drop a comment if you feel. But of course, stay tuned, because we do have cool stuff coming. We have those predictions coming. I'm really excited about that video. That was one of my favorite ones to record in a while. So stay tuned for that, and I'll leave you there. Mia san mia.